Good morning. Well, the hot, humid days of summer roll on as this new year begins. The 6th of January comes around and the 12 days of Christmas, the season of Christmas ends, and a new season in the church's year begins. The season of Epiphany, manifestation, revelation, enlightenment, a festival, a celebration of light in the world. And I guess in our land, in summer, in the summer heat, it's a great time to celebrate light in this wide open, vibrant land. In the northern hemisphere, in the midst of winter, the winter darkness and cold, it's a promise of things to come. The light that comes and the light that comes into the world. And that's what Matthew's story of Jesus is all about, the light that comes into the world, that enlightens our way and offers us an alternative way in this world. And we come this day reading a story of Magi. Now with the 6th of January, Christmas trees and decorations and lights and tinsel are packed away, along with nativity plays or scenes. Mary and Joseph, a baby in a manger, some shepherds, maybe sheep, an angel in the sky, sometimes a star, and often kings, 3 kings with gifts off to the other side, making a tableau. And yet, it's a story that never existed. The story of Mary and Joseph, the baby in the manger, that's Luke's story, and doesn't have these wise ones, these kings as they're portrayed. That's got Matthew's story, and he doesn't have Mary and Joseph and Jesus in a stable. This story of the wise ones, the Magi, magicians, sorcerers, astrologers from afar, Persia or Babylon, coming this great distance, reading the stars, and in the stars seeing that a new king, a king of the Jews is born, and they come to pay homage. That story has to wait because it's up to 2 years after Jesus' birth. And in Matthew's story, it's Mary and Joseph and a toddler Jesus in a house in Bethlehem. It's a different story. It's an interesting story. As these astrologers come, bearing gifts to pay homage, to worship this one born King of the Jews, whose star they've seen rise in the sky, they follow a star, a strange star that moves and stops and changes direction and disappears and reappears. It's a star that connects them and their story with the story of Israel and its people. In the centuries leading up to Jesus, there were great revolts and leaders that rose up, symbolised by this star of David, if you like, a star that promises hope and life and liberation, a star that sometimes comes to represent nationalism and patriotism and defensiveness, not hope and life for all. But the star guides them, the stars in the sky. But when they get to Jerusalem, they have to ask directions. And they go to the local king, King Herod, the king, the great king under Rome. Where is this one that's born to be King of the Jews? We saw his star rising in the sky. We've come to pay homage. Where is he? The first words anyone utters in Matthew's Gospel, the word is where. And Herod, confused and bewildered, concerned and inwardly raging, turns to his religious leaders, scribes and priests, and says, where? This question resonates. Where? Where is this one? Where is this one that we come to pay homage to? Where is this one born King of the Jews? Where is this one of God? Where? And maybe that's a question that guides Matthew's Gospel. Where? Where do we find him? It's a question that came to me in a different way prior to Christmas. A friend of mine, Doug Purnell, a retired minister and pastoral theologian and a practicing artist, held an exhibition in the Australian Catholic University at Strathfield. I've known Doug for a long time, and his art has explored life and death and being and mystery, and the mystery we call God, and spirituality and life. That's one of his paintings there. His art has evolved and changed as he's explored the questions in different ways. In a recent exhibition prior to this latest one, there were a whole series of paintings that looked like red and orange veils drawn down. And in some parts it was translucent, and some parts it was parted or broken. And down the bottom where it didn't quite reach, you could see beyond, to the mystery beyond, colours and shades and patterns. And you were left wondering, what is it? What is this mystery beyond the veil? In this most recent exhibition, which was, I guess, stimulated, the works were stimulated more deeply by the death of three good friends. And Doug began to ask questions in different ways. Where does these friends go? What happens? And the questions, I guess, were clarified and simplified and profoundly executed by a 10-year-old, his grandson. He says, "Hey, Dougie, where do we come from before we're born, and where do we go to after we die? The mystery of life and being, of death and beyond. There's something that can't be expressed in words. We try to. And his exhibition is called Beyond Words. And it begins with the bright, vibrant colours. But then there's this arch, this arc. Maybe it's a gateway, a doorway. Maybe it's a cave or a tomb or a portal. Different people see it in different ways and see different things into it. But here is this arch in his paintings, sometimes dark and sometimes light, sometimes with light behind it and sometimes with darkness behind it, exploring meaning and depth and what does it mean. And as I looked and walked through his art and saw some were bright and vibrant reds and oranges and yellows and whites, some darker and deeper colours, deeper reds or blacks or browns, and then some were blue and green, all asking different questions, exploring in different ways this mystery that exists beyond words, this mystery we can't explain. And the question of where do we come from? Where do we go to? And the deeper questions around that, who am I? What is this life about? What is meaning? What is purpose? Who are we? And as Doug explores these questions and invites us into that journey, I hear this story as well of the wise ones who come seeking to pay homage, to explore where is he? To open themselves to the enlightenment that they might receive. But when Herod hears this, he is afraid and all Jerusalem with him. And what does that mean? At the birth of Jesus, in the beginning of Matthew's story, there is fear around this one. And at the end of the story, the powers and principalities of the world are afraid of what he says and does and brings, and they have him killed. There is fear around this one who offers an alternate way. Who is afraid? And I think about all Jerusalem with him. I understand the raging, jealous king who's worried about his power being usurped. But what about those who fall under his persecution and oppressive reign, his domination and his violence? Ordinary people. Is it like us who see the profound injustices and the pain and the violence in our world, in Gaza, in the Ukraine, in other places, the domestic violence in homes, and hear the horrific stories, or the suffering of people, of the stories of refugees around the world, or those who are hungry today or thirsty. We see the images on our screen, we hear the stories, we're moved and we're overwhelmed, and we hear them and we hear them, and we grow comfortable. And when someone challenges us that a difference can be made, that change can come to the world. We're afraid. We're afraid of the change. We're afraid of what it will mean, what it will cost us, what we will lose, what we have to give up in order for justice and a new way in the world to emerge. And as I look into Doug's paintings, I look into deep mystery and wonder, and it challenges me. Sometimes it's a dark thing that grips me and threatens me. And sometimes it's a light that draws me in and gives me hope and reassures me that all will be well. But in order to enter in, I've got to let go. Let go. What is it I have to let go of? And the Magi find the child and they worship the king. And then they're warned to go home in a dream, go home a different way. To go home a different way. They go a different way. And this Jesus, this young one that they worship, who will grow into the wise one, who will reveal the way of God, an alternate way in the world. Are we willing to go the alternate way, the different way, the new way that thwarts the evil one in the world? And when the evil one, Herod, finds out that he's been thwarted and upset, he goes into a rage and he declares that all the children 2 years and under in Bethlehem will be killed, so that the pretender to his throne will be dead. But Matthew shifts a little and the story goes back to Joseph. Joseph, who has dreams. And those readers who read this will know that Matthew's talking about another Joseph, centuries before. A Joseph in the story of the patriarchal family who is sold into slavery by his brothers, his jealous brothers, into Egypt and becomes leader there. And in a time of great famine, his family come looking for food and he discovers who they are and he invites the family into Egypt to save them. And this Joseph also has dreams. The two Josephs are connected. The stories are connected through Joseph and dreams and Egypt. Because Joseph hears a dream, save your child, go to Egypt. And he goes to Egypt and they're safe. And another dream later says it's safe to go home and he goes and lives in Nazareth in Galilee. This story of Herod killing the infants, the murder of the innocents in Bethlehem, is told with the images and the story of another tyrant, Pharaoh in Egypt, Pharaoh in Moses' time, who has all the Hebrew children killed. But Moses is saved and Moses leads a people. And Matthew is saying that this one who comes is a new and greater Moses. Moses, who was the liberator of God's people and delivered them to the promised land but didn't get there himself. Jesus is the new and greater Moses who will lead all people into the promised land of God, into the mystery and wonder of this new way into God. And I hear this story and I'm filled with questions and wonder. Where? Who? What? Where is life? Where is this one? And who am I? And what is life about? And these questions are deep and profound. And like Doug says, they're beyond words. And words can't contain them. Words can't hold them. Words can't define them. I get lost in belief systems and words and definitions. And it's only as I break out into art and explore in the mystery of colour and pattern and paint, or in music and song, or jazz with its pushing the limits of the saxophone or trumpet or piano or drums or trombone or guitar or vocals, pushing the limits of harmony and rhythm and melody, or the soaring of an orchestral piece with a choir or strings, or the story that touches me and moves me, or the gentle flower that opens and I look into the eternal mystery and wonder, the infinite reality of life and being. This is what this story opens up to me. And this season of Epiphany invites us into story, into another way, into see the light that breaks into our darkness and calls us to a new way of being, into the mystery of God, who is love and grace and hope. A mystery beyond words, a mystery that gives us life, a mystery that holds us. And may this mystery, this wondrous, this love, this God hold you and our world in this new year and lead us into a new way of peace, hope and joy, a way that's grounded in love and justice for all people. Amen.